Okay, so what is the goddamn deal, YouTube? It is, of course, your boy Vuhlandes back with another video. And then today's video, which is a little bit off course of what the usual videos are about, we're going to be talking about videos and specifically how I edit and like kind of grade my videos. So yeah, so I've actually been getting a lot of comments and DMs and all the stuff that you can get about how I edit and color grade specifically these YouTube videos that I make. Now I do understand and recognize that some of the people who may be watching this video and or come across this video are gonna have no idea who I am. So before we get started, my name is Vuhlandes. I am a photographer from Detroit, Michigan. You know, film photographer. I am an advocate for people doing whatever they want, bypassing the rules and just, you know, doing whatever their heart desires, because that's what this is all about. Now, as far as videography goes, when this channel first started, I did the typical, you know, photography YouTube videos, which I still do today, but I also wanted to do some short films, some movies, which I have done, and I do have sort of a passion for videography as well, which is why at the beginning of all of these videos, or somewhat in between these videos, I do kind of a cinematic piece with my subjects or just like whatever I'm doing. So I do very much care about the videos and the production of the videos that I'm making just for these photography YouTube channels, and I do take it kind of serious. So it's kind of great and kind of cool that a lot of people have noticed it and, you know, appreciate that. So one last little side note before we get started with this video, I do want to make it perfectly clear that I am no professional colorist. I am no professional videographer, and I approach videography the same way I approach photography, and that is with an open mind and you know, as a learning experience. I don't know everything, and I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend to know everything. I do what makes me happy and I do what looks good to me. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have some people who are very, very, very much into this, and they're gonna want to talk about the scopes, and they're gonna want to talk about how I don't do this and how I don't do that. I don't necessarily care. I just, like I said, do what looks good to me and I do what makes me happy. So that's pretty much how this video is going to go. And yeah, I think you'll be very surprised about a few things. So yeah, let's just get into it. All right, so if we come in to, you know, Final Cut, because that's what I edit in, we got a few clips here that we're gonna take a look at, but we're gonna come up here first to File, New Project, Custom Settings, 4K, you know, all the 4K settings. We're gonna call this color grade for YouTube. All right, and then, you know, we're ready to, you know, get started with, you know, color grading some footage. So this is a clip that I took for, you know, kind of a video portrait of Amalia for, you know, the beginning of one of my YouTube videos, or just like B-roll in one of my YouTube videos when I was taking photos of her. So, you know, that's what we do. We take photos and we make YouTube videos while we're taking photos. So before I get started, I do shoot S-Log2 because I don't necessarily like S-Log3. I know S-Log3, you get more information, more dynamic range and all of that stuff, but I like S-Log2. It's what's worked best for me. It's what looks better for like what I do. So that's what I use, S-Log2. I'm using the Sony A7iii for anybody who, you know, didn't know that already. But I come over here, and because this, you know, image is already, you know, very flat. It could be flatter if it was S-Log3, but it's not, but it is still flat. So we're gonna add a little bit of saturation to the image, and then we're gonna come over here and do some slight tweaking with the curves. So make a little curve, and I only do these three. Then once I have like just something simple, so it's no longer just like a super flat image, but it's still pretty flat, as you can see, I come over here and I add a custom LUT to it. These LUTs took me a very long time to make. LUTs are a lot harder to make than like photo presets are, and I make all of my LUTs in DaVinci Resolve, which if you do want to see a video on that, I guess let me know. But for the time being, I'm just going to show you guys how I grade my footage with the LUTs that I've made, even though I don't necessarily see myself making another video on video. But I guess if you're interested in that, if enough people are interested in that, then maybe I'll give that a go. But it is a lot of nerd stuff. Anyway, LUTs are very hard to make, so it's taken me a very long time, and I've taken a lot of time and patience into making some of these LUTs. So usually for most of the LUTs that I use the Filmic one that I made, because it kind of works with everything that you know, I shoot, and I made that to work with everything that I shoot. It's very, you know, subtle, simple. So this is with it, this is without it, you know, just something very simple. It has some saturation and some color in there, and just like a little filmic vibe, like with the colors. At least it's very simple. It doesn't look, you know, unrealistic. So that's where the filmic comes from. But for this, I might use outside heavy, just because I kind of want to have it, I kind of want to have a stylized look, and like that looks a little bit stylized and a little bit better to me for what I'm trying to go for this. But as you know, LUTs don't work for everything. So like if I pull this clip down, and like I said, I made the filmic look for everything, so the filmic LUT should work on this and it should look fine, which it does. But if I was to try to use the outside heavy one on this, it's gonna look a little bit weird. So like clearly, you know, all of these LUTs aren't used for everything, but at the same time, it could be used for everything if you want it to be. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but for now we're just gonna finish, you know, color grading this. I shot this at 24 frames per second, 23.98 if I guess you want to be specific. I hardly ever shoot in slow-mo, but yeah, then I would come back over here to the color curves and the saturation, exposure, all that. Then I will start to, you know, bring down the mid-tones. I usually always bring up the highlights. As you can see, they are clipping over here and it's completely white. I personally do not care about that. There's going to be a lot of videographers and, you know, people that are very crucial and anal and, you know, just very precise about things that's going to hate that. But I don't necessarily care. Looks good to me. It doesn't take too much away from the main, you know, point of the video, which is where your eye is drawn into, which is the subject. So that's, you know, what I do. I clearly don't want it to be like completely white where it's like looks crazy, but you know, it was really nothing I can do because just it didn't the highlights just wasn't handled well in general, even though I do overexpose my S-Log too. It just wasn't handled, this area just wasn't handled very well in general. So it's not necessarily anything I could do, even if I bring it down. It's just, yeah. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, we're just gonna, you know, add a little bit of contrast to this. And yeah, I don't necessarily overcomplicate things. I do what I do until it looks good, and then, you know, I move on. I might bring saturation up in the shadows a little bit more, and in the mid-tones. And then yeah, but after all of that is done, and to me this looks great, and I can just like edit and chop this up as much as I wanted to, just like that. But I kind of want to add, you know, kind of my own touch onto it. So I do have 4x5 frames, and I also do have a 16:9 frame. The 16:9 one is the one that I would use for this because I kind of like this entire I kind of like this entire scene. So I would like want this entire scene to be seen, whereas the 4x5 kind of, you know, it definitely takes up a lot of real estate, and that looks good to me. I have a 16mm grain kind of overlay. The 16mm film grain, I'll come over here, and then I'll usually do multiply, and then I come over here and then I raise the exposure on it. Then I come back, I kind of bring the opacity down on the grain because sometimes it's like very like just overwhelming. You can see it almost all of my footage, even like this footage that you guys are watching here right now, has grain on it, that, you know, artificial grain. So it's not the real film grain, and it's not film, and it never be film. We all know that, but here we are. So to finish up this image a little bit, what I would do is I would come to color board, because for me it's a little purplish, just reddish, like all of that, like just overall. And I would just introduce a little bit of, you know, greenish into the entire kind of frame, just image in general. So all right, then I would take this, then I would take this, and then I would take this, and then just make it a compound clip, just because it's just too much, you know, taking up too much space on the timeline. I don't like that. I could also make this a compound clip as well, so it's just like all one clip after that. So here we are, one clip, and I would be done with this. I chop it up until it looks good, add it with other stuff, and, you know, looks good to me. I like that. like I said, a lot of y'all might be very surprised about how much of a simple approach I take. I make a lot of videos and I film a lot of videos. I edit a lot of videos. I don't want to stand here, you know, my entire life just editing, color grading and stuff like that. So I don't overcomplicate things. I don't overdo things. I kind of keep it simple and just move on from there. So that's usually how it goes. I don't necessarily even do the same thing for every single video. As y'all know, I don't add this 16:9 frame around every single, you know, clip that I do. But if I do want to add it and it looks good to me and it's just for something that, you know, I wanted to add it on, then I will. But that's usually how it goes. But we'll edit one more, if not a few more, you know, kind of clips just to, you know, show y'all, you know, what's going on. So yeah, you know, come over here, find a point of which, you know, I kind of like. I like that right there. So we're kind of gonna work just like as we see things. So what we're gonna do first, we're gonna add the filmic, and maybe we might add 16. Cinematic film. Nah. All right, let's actually do the filmic, because then I can show you guys like how like this preset isn't like end all be all. You still have to, you know, do what you got to do to make it look the way you want it to look. So negative maybe 30 on that, negative 10 on the shadows, bring up the highlights, saturation, because this is very desaturated, 30 for shadows, 30, and then 30 for highlights too. But I'll actually bring that down because I made everything look kind of crazy. Then we're gonna come over here, we're gonna go to color wheels, and then we're gonna introduce like some color contrast into this, because the colors aren't, you know, exactly the way I want them to be. So for shadows, we'll start with shadows first. We'll add, you know, a little bit of green to that. Shadows. Add a little bit of orange into the shadows. Then as far as the highlight goes, kind of want to have it a little stylized, so a little bit of green into that, and that looks, you know, decent to me. That looks good to me. I like the way that looks. So we're gonna, you know, finish, you know, come back to the color board and then fix this. Actually, curves, add a little curve adjustment to that. We want this to be dark because when I shot it, it was definitely like about to rain. So we wanted to, you know, kind of have that vibe of like darkness, and, you know, just like that. I don't necessarily like cool images. I hate when my images are like too cool. So if y'all notice, like a lot of my images are warm, and yeah, regardless of the situation, they're usually pretty warm clips, even, you know, the darker ones. So I don't really necessarily like cool clips. So for me, this looks great. It has some good contrast to it, has some good colors to it. So yeah, I would basically be done with this. But the thing is with this, and the reason I'm able to work so fast with these clips and things like that, is because I've put in the work before, and that's with making my presets. That's with making sure the settings was right in camera before I, you know, got home and had to edit it. So I made sure this was exposed well. I made sure everything looked good. I made sure the colors in camera were good before I got home, and like I had to do so much editing. So doing things beforehand and making sure you're good before you know, get into the nitty gritty, it's definitely, it can save you a bunch of time and, you know, effort and energy. So I've learned that the hard way. So this is why I now am able to edit some of my videos so fast, able to grade them so fast, and just like move on and make clips and stuff like that. So yeah. All right, so this video is getting very, very long. So let me edit the rest of these and kind of just put the final product at the end of the video so you guys can see. also there's this big misconception that to get the film look, you need to destroy your footage and it needs to be blurry and film grain and so many scratches and dust and all the things that make film. But for me, the film look is more of a feeling that you get from looking at an image rather than how it actually looks. So you can have a nice clean image and also still have that film look, in my opinion. All right, so that is that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys got something out of it. Either you left pissed or you left with some type of understanding about how Vuhlandes personally edits my videos. I do my own thing, regardless of what the rules are, regardless of what you should do, regardless of what everyone else is doing, which I encourage everybody to do. Just, you know, do things the way you want to do them. If they look good, if you are happy with them, then, you know, do that. So this is how I personally edit my videos and go about editing my videos. So yeah, man. Also, if you want to check out my lists, they are down in the description. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. But anyway, we're gonna get up out of here. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. If you are already subscribed to the channel, I am not talking to you because you already did what you had to do. So we're gonna get up out of here, man. We're gonna go do some shit. So you know the vibes. Let's get it.